Looking at your page, you're seeing different numbers and numbers. Call you when you're study, hanging with the fellas. Hanging with my girls, you always getting jealous and jealous.
Hop in the coupe, put that thing on cruise. Bumping your favorite tunes, making it all about you. Everything that I do it for you. Cause I got you.
The mess that we got into for this episode of BET Presents the Encore, I mean, it just, to be honest, there wasn't as much mess, at least not as much mess as there is on the floor. That's, again, I'm going to mention it every single episode that I see these rooms and the way that they're constructed. Clothes all over the floor, bags and stuff all open. Everything just looks a mess. And we're showing this on TV. I hope that they actually realize they're not living in private. Everybody all over the place. The whole country is watching. So I don't know what is going on. Y'all need to get that together. Because there is no way. My room is a little messy right now. But I definitely wouldn't allow that to be shown on TV. Don't come in my room. Absolutely not. You're not allowed in there. Just no. But anyway. So this is episode 6. And I'm already raspy. I'm already hoarse. What's going on? I hate this. So the major thing about this episode, and I'm so happy because the listening party, the one thing is who's going to come? Who's going to actually show up? Are all the group members going to come? And one thing that Aubrey was saying to, I believe it was Pam, they were talking to each other. And, Pam was saying that she's worried because of the way that she left Total and the way that she kind of blocked the other group members out of her life in order to kind of pursue something else. And then now she's in this other group and it kind of would seem like a smack in the face to the rest of them. And that's what she's worried about. Aubrey, on the other hand, she's kind of just okay, I don't think that anybody's going to show, which they actually didn't. I really wish that at least Shannon would have come, but I guess they're kind of in a mode now where it's okay, we're not about to show up on a reality TV show right now. It's just not going to happen. As they're getting ready for this listening party, they're down in the studio and it's so while they're getting all that stuff together, they realize that there's a lot of stems missing for some of the songs, and the producer that's working with them, Cosign, he apparently took them with him on his computer and stuff, and it bothers them because they don't have everything that they need. So they obviously get into contact with him so that he can send the stems over to them, and then when they're listening to them, they realize that he made a lot of changes, and some of those changes are not that great to them, especially not Felicia, who worked on the tracks as well. So Cosign's version of the song has heavy 808s and it's very generic, but there was something very organic about the way that Felicia produced the tracks, and so then she kind of makes it a point to ask everybody what they think, and everybody kind of agrees that Felicia's versions of the song sound a little bit better. And this is just a lesson to everybody out there who's a singer or an artist or whatever. Make sure that you take your stems with you. Don't ever let a producer or an engineer keep a hold of your masters, of your stems, because then you yourself cannot make any alterations to it. If you want to add an artist to it, or if you want to add some instrumentation to it, then you can't do it because then you don't have the original tracks to go off of. You only pretty much have just a reference. And then also it gives the producer or engineer free reign to do whatever they want with the song, and then hold it back from you. We'll get back to this whole Cosign thing leading up to what I talk about later. The day of listening party, we have all these, different people coming through, producers and songwriters. I saw Jazzy Faye, okay? I saw Jazzy Faye, and anybody don't know Jazzy Faye, you need to know who Jazzy Faye is. He is very much so a successful ass producer and mogul. He does it all. He produced a lot of stuff from Missy Elliott, Ciara, early Ciara. Most of early Ciara was Jazzy Faye. Some of the group members that come through, we got Miss Brandy from Black. I liked seeing her. I always thought that she was so cute and everything. And apparently none of these hoes actually understand the concept of age because they all still look the same as from when they were in the groups. I was just like, wow. I was like, wow. Mila looked kind of the same. Kima, you can tell that she aged a little bit, but she still looks good. I saw Scorp Diesel. Oh, and Brandon J. And it was one other person that I was just like, oh, Ronnie. Ronnie DeVoe. Shamari's husband also came through, and I thought it was so cute. He came with all the balloons and flowers and stuff. I was like, oh, he's so, oh, that's so nice. One thing that I thought was really funny was that, you know, they started listening. So Skeletons was the song that they started off with, and it sounded really good at first, but then like they had them stop it, you know, because they were kind of just standing there. So like Ronnie and Jazzy, and they were all like, stop the track. And they're like, uh-oh, what's going on? But it's really because of the fact that when you're doing a listening party, a lot of the times, especially now, you know, they want to see that you're vibing with your own music. So you know, give them a little bit of a performance with it. So they, you know, they started to sing their own parts and dance around and stuff to make it like more entertaining, you know, get them interested in what you're making them listen to. I need to keep that in mind for when I have my listening party. But we're going through the motions, we're listening to all the songs, and, you know, at some point, you know, the camera keeps on panning back to Aubrey and panning to Irish. Out of everybody, Aubrey was like the only one that really wasn't even like into it. You could tell that she wasn't like sold on it, and it's mostly because she still feels like they don't have a complete sound yet. She feels like it's just a bunch of voices on a track together and there's no cohesiveness, which I can kind of see. You know, they were mostly like, their sound right now is pretty much the sound of the twins, because they're the ones that wrote most of everything and produced most of everything. So obviously it's going to sound more like a song by like Cherish and produced by Fallon and Felicia King. And so I understand that, because they're the only song that had a lot of input from anybody else was Only God Knows, and that's just because Pam was like just in the studio writing, and you know, I believe Felicia just happened to come down and start like producing a track with her on it. So, you know, that to me is a valid point for Aubrey to make, but then she should make that known. But I know that she doesn't want to really cause a lot more issues, because every single time that somebody says something about the songs, about them not having, you know, enough or doing this, because the last time Aubrey was like, oh, there's not enough here. I don't think there's enough here. She was really saying like, there's too much of the twins in these songs. Where is sound from Aubrey? Where is sound from Shamari? Where is sound from you know, the girls of 702? Where are the sounds from everybody else that makes it seem like everybody had a hand in producing these tracks? You can tell that it was very one-sided, because all of the songs kind of follow the same kind of cadence and the same atmosphere. So by that logic, I understand where Aubrey was coming from. I just wish that the twins weren't so territorial of the songs that they made, that, you know, they could actually have an open discussion about that. And I'm really, really kind of upset, and I hope that it's not completely the end, because after the listening party, you know, Aubrey literally gets up in the middle of the night and then she just leaves. She packs all of her things and she just leaves. So I don't know if she's actually going to come back in the next episode or what. But if it's not, then at this point, it's just the 7 of them. So Iris is talking to Mila, their old group member, and Misha is there with them. And she's kind of like upset over the fact that she doesn't have a lot of parts in these songs. She's like, I got up maybe like 3 or 4 times to sing, and that's it. Out of like 5, 6 songs, I only have 4 parts. And I understand. You also have to realize that when you're in a group like that, it's very skewed. It's always going to be skewed. I always akin this group that they're trying to put together to K-pop groups. Okay? And more notably, a group that has like the same number of members, Girls' Generation. I don't really know too much about Twice. I don't know how their dynamic is because I don't listen to them. But I was a big Girls' Generation fan back in the day. And the one thing that was always a constant is that the members of the group that could sing the best always had the better parts or the most parts. You could count on one hand on an album how many times one of like the visual members or one of the members that was like the dancer of the group actually sung on a track. So by that in that aspect, like Taeyeon, Jessica, Tiffany, if you know the members, Soyeon, those were the girls that were like the main singers, and then Sunny. But like it was always Taeyeon, Jessica, Soyeon, and Tiffany that had the most singing parts in most of their songs. And then, and then everybody else kind of just filed in. They had little parts here and there, or they just like would sing in the chorus or whatever and have a little part. Or they would have like a rapping part or something, but they weren't really singing all that much. And, I don't know if that was something that they had an issue. Well, it is actually something they had an issue with because Sooyoung brought it up. But this is what I'm saying. Relating it to this, Irish has a problem with it, and I feel like she should speak up about it. If you have a problem with it, you should actually talk to them about it. I think it was kind of the wrong place and wrong time, and even Misha said, wrong place and wrong time for us to discuss something like that about the dynamic of the group. Because like, if you have an issue with it, you bring it to the group, you talk about it with the group, and then you guys can discuss. But having somebody on the outside coming in there, and then you guys and you're talking about this, it's like kind of putting Mila in an uncomfortable position, and it was a little bit awkward. It was just a little bit awkward. She's like, well, you guys seem like you were into it, and the music sounds good, so I don't know. That didn't seem like it was a reflection of anything that's going on the inside, and I agree, because obviously when you see like it looks like a well-oiled machine, you're not really going to think about, I wonder if everybody is satisfied with their role in the group. It's not really something that you really like think about from the outside looking in. But that was also an issue that they had in 702, and then they don't want to deal with the same thing in this group. So they're kind of trying to vocal their opinion a little bit more, but you got to do a better job of doing it, and you also have to do it at the right time. A listening party is not the right time, Irish, and I just hope that she actually does bring that forward later on. And they have an actual discussion about it. It doesn't happen in this episode, but hopefully in the next episode it does happen, that they have an actual conversation about that. When Aubrey left, that was an opportunity for them to actually add Irish's vocals to some of Aubrey's parts, but they had Nivea recording over everything. Nivea had me dying though. When Aubrey left, she's like, damn, she's like, I thought that I would be the one to leave. And by that line, I understand what she means, because she's the only one in this group that was never a part of another girl group before. So she's never been in a girl group. You know what I mean? She was always a solo artist. So she's the only one to me that I would feel would want to leave, because she doesn't really like the group dynamic. She's never really had that experience. So she's like kind of over it. But like, that just... Every single episode, Nivea is saying something to make me laugh. It's just hilarious. She's just funny. She's just a funny person. One thing I kind of want to mention, actually, right before the listening party, okay, and they came out and to meet everybody. The one thing that I actually laughed, I cackled at this when oh my god, when Kima came up to Pam. And they they hadn't seen each other in so long, Kima went in for a hug. But if you watched right before, Pam went like this to dap her up. I was about to die. I'm like, Pam, there is nothing wrong with hugging a friend. Like, can you just... But then she went to dap. I'm like, are you with the bros? Like, what's going on? This is how you know homegirl was like... Oh God, that's how you know. That's how you know. That's how you know. That's all I'm going to say. That's how you know. But back to after Aubrey left. I had to mention that. I'm sorry. It was very tangent-like, but I had to mention that. When Aubrey left, I find it interesting that Fallon was going off about it being, oh, that's so dramatic. I don't even feel empathetic towards her. That's so dramatic. I'm like, how many times have you and your sister left the room because you guys didn't get your way? How many times did you guys blow up in people's faces, call them out their names and everything else when you didn't get your way? So by that logic, you guys are also dramatic as hell. I don't want to hear about somebody else being dramatic when you guys have thrown the biggest fits in the house since episode 1. You guys have been going crazy since episode 1. I don't want to hear that. I really don't want to hear somebody's dramatic, yes, and it is also you. If anybody's dramatic, it's you and your sister. This last part is going to be pretty long because I think it is very, very disgusting the way that some of these guys act in this industry. And especially when it comes to our producers and engineers and stuff, once they start getting good work, once the, like, you know, people start like noticing who they are, knowing who they are, they get like huge inflated egos, and it's unnecessary and it's completely wasted on their talent that they have. Like, they're talented as hell, but it's like they know that they're talented and they're going to throw it in your face every single time they come around. I'm talking about the Cosign situation. So finally, Cosign comes to the mansion, and he is getting all their stuff together again, and he brings up the tracks, and then he notices that, you know, it's Felicia's version, and the first thing he says, he's like, "Oh, that's the wrong version. Put this one on," and then he put his version on. And Felicia took huge offense to that, especially considering the fact that Cosign did not finish all the work that he was supposed to do. The tracks are not finished. They haven't been like properly vocally produced and mixed down. There are still some inconsistencies with the instrumentation. So like stuff is just not completed. But Felicia's version fits the vision that they had for the song originally anyway. So the whole thing is that when he played his, you know, it sounded good. The bass was just a little bit too overpowering. Felicia believed that it was a little too overpowering, and so she didn't really want it that way. But Cosign was just like coming disrespectful as hell. He's like, "Calm down, shawty. This, that, and the other, shawty girl." That. And I'm like, oh, so we're getting to see a little bit of this. I had a feeling just from the way that he was in the previous episodes that he would be somebody that's a little misogynistic, but now it blew up, and all the misogyny jumped out. All of the misogyny, it all jumped out. Okay, and he even tried to shorty Keely, and Keely was like, don't call me short. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like, you're being disrespectful at this point. And she even called him out for toxic masculinity and everything else. It runs rampant in the music industry too. A lot of these guys think that they can take advantage. They come into a room full of women and they automatically put themselves up here and put the women down here. And that's just not going to fly, especially when you have veterans in the game. All of these women have been in the game for over a decade. So they know what they're doing when they go into a studio, when they go into make music and stuff. A lot of them know what they're doing, and a lot of them have been here before. So for you to sit up there and put yourself on a high horse and try to, you know, run over everybody else's opinions and everybody else's input is just disgusting and disrespectful. And this is the one time that I actually agreed with everything that Felicia was saying and the way that she went off. I co-signed. I walked right into that one. No pun intended, but I co-signed her behavior in that moment because he was very much so coming off very disrespectfully. When, sir, you didn't even do the job that you were supposed to do. Felicia had to do it for you. So don't sit up here and get all upset now that somebody has done the job and done it better than you. I'm just saying that, you know, it just, one thing that these producers need to learn out here is that when you got paid, Cosign, you got paid to come out onto the show and produce these tracks. You got paid to do that. So how about you actually listen to the artists that are going to have to put their name on the track and perform the track? A lot of these producers become very territorial. And the thing is that Felicia's been territorial too over the things that she's produced, which, okay, fine. But you didn't even come up with the concepts for these songs. You only added a little bit here and there, and then you, like, you know, you put on some extra instruments, some 808s, some of this, some of that. You didn't write the song. So, like, what I'm saying is it wasn't your vision to begin with. It wasn't your vision. So by that, I'm just saying, like, you also have to listen to your artists when you're out here doing producing and stuff. These engineers and these producers, you have to listen to your artists because they're the ones that are going to pay you at the end of the day. You're getting paid for your services. They require your talents. Yes, they want your talent, but the thing is that you're also getting paid to do a job. And right now, the artists or the girls, they're pretty much your bosses. Yeah, you're collaborators, but the thing is that you're not the face. The artist is the face of the song, and people are going to they're gonna pay more attention to the artist that whose vocals are featured on the song more than the person who produced the song. The person that produced the song, you're in the background. I'm sorry to say, but you're in the background. If you wanted to be an artist, then you should have been an artist and you should have put yourself out there as an artist. But you are a producer on these tracks, sir. So that means that the artist whose face is going to be plastered all over this song, they should have the final say in what goes in and what comes out and how the tracks should sound. And you should actually listen to them. That's just period. That's just period. There is no like debating that. Like you can't debate that. Okay, so I'm in the middle of editing and I just thought, I'm like, you know what? Someone is going to come for me for this part a little bit because it's a serious topic. And of course, people have like a number of opinions and I want to make sure that I'm very clear about what I'm talking about. When I say like producers need to listen to their artists, I'm talking about producers who are not features on the track. You know, it's different when it's a collaborative effort and your name is going to be right next to the artist's name on there. Like let's say DJ Khaled. DJ Khaled is a producer, but he has artists that come and do the songs with him because of the fact that they are the featured artists on his songs because he's the one that's putting it out under his name. It's a difference in that case. David Guetta, the same thing. David Guetta was working with Sia and Kelly Rowland and stuff for When Love Takes Over and all that stuff. David Guetta's name was there first. And it just so happens that he had artists come on and provide vocals. And in that moment in time, they have to adhere to his vision for the song because he's the one that's putting it out under his name. It honestly should be more the person who's putting the song out under their name. They're the one that's going to get, they're the ones that people are going to associate with. So if you don't have, the blueprint and cosign on the track, then I'm sorry to say, bruh, you don't really have much of a say on how this track actually comes and the vision for this track. You don't really have a lot of say in it. You can add things, you can suggest things, but ultimately it's going to be the artists that decide whether or not to go with your suggestions and take out things and remove things and add things in. So that's just that. And then the thing is that maybe you could have come to an agreement. Maybe you could have come to an agreement where like a lot of your ideas could have been put in there and, you could have worked on that. But when you start coming disrespectfully and misogynistically, I guess I can make that into an adverb. We're going to do it. When you come off as a misogynist, that just kind of dampens any type of work, any talent that you have. Like that just makes you look really, really bad. And you're doing this on television for everybody to see. That was very disgusting. It wasn't shocking to me. I wasn't shocked. I was just like, just another one. But you can easily be replaced. That's the thing about it. You can easily be replaced. How about that? We'll replace you. Ooh, when Felicia tells Fallon, she's like, I can't wait to tell Fallon about this. I was like, oh, that's how the episode ended. I was like, oh, they both come downstairs and start cursing him out. Yo, oh God. Okay. But anyway, that was pretty much everything that I took from this episode. Aubrey leaving, Irish not feeling like she is contributing enough to the group, or she feels like she's not allowed to, but she's not, it's not open enough for her to feel like she's actually contributing more to the group. She really wants to sing more on the songs. And then the cosign situation with the songs that are being produced for this album. It's starting to come together, but then it's falling apart at the same time. It's crazy how that works. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I really don't have anything else to say about it. There may have been parts that I wasn't really paying too much close attention to, but I think I got the main points. But let me know what you thought of this episode. Tell me what the parts that really stuck out to you, and let's discuss. I really like doing stuff like this because it gives me a break a little bit. Although I do have to kind of keep the conversation with myself because pretty much being in this camera, I'm talking to myself. I'm having if anybody came into the house right now, they'd be like, "Who are you talking to?" It's so weird sometimes when you take yourself out of yourself. It's like you're, I don't know. It's like breaking the fourth wall, but then realizing that there was no walls there to begin with. I don't know how to really word it. But anyway, make sure that you're following my social media, okay? And make sure that you're also looking out for my single that's coming out on the 23rd of July. It's called I Got You. And yeah, it's going to be on all platforms that you listen to music on. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I hope everybody has a great day, all right? Make sure you stay safe, take care, all that stuff. Also, Normani is coming. I just had to put that in there. Normani is coming, and she's coming with Cardi B tonight. So stay tuned for that too. Anyway, have a good night. Bye.
No amount of time or space can get in the way of what we have. At the end of the night, where we going to sleep, nothing matters 'cause you've got